Welcome to the Grappling Grappling Rewind Podcast.
Welcome to this week on the Grappling Rewind Podcast. In this week's show, we're going to recap Fight to Win 218, headlined by Clay Mayfield versus Giovanni Ortiz. Talk a little bit about Submission Only Series 9, and also preview the brackets for the IBJJF European Championships 2023 in Paris, France. As always on the show, I'm your host, Maine, to my co-host,
Josh.
How you doing, Josh?
Good.
We had a fun pre-show. Before we get into any of that, some fun matches happened this weekend. Let's get into the big news. The big news, which is ADCC has announced that they are leaving Flow Grappling and they're heading to UFC FightPass. This got announced on a UFC pay-per-view for the light heavyweight title, where Jose Aldo was inducted to Hall of Fame, like a big pay-per-view.
A bunch of
championship matches. Brendan Moreno was proving that he's still Brendan Moreno. Gilbert Durinho Burns almost choked Neil Magny unconscious. It was a good night of fights. And UFC Fight Pass announced that they're streaming ADCC, the World Championships that are happening in 2 years, 2023, all of the trials worldwide, as well as all of the, I'm not sure if it's all of the opens, but the opens for ADCC that we're going to see a lot more of. One got announced for Mexico. They're starting to be announced in the Northern Hemisphere for all of these opens. It was a giant week to be a grappling fan. Mo Jassam, the event coordinator, now essentially runner and organizer of ADCC, got on social media. He talked about it. He goes, there's a big announcement, more big announcements coming. Some other folks I've talked to have been like, big stuff's coming, be quiet. So now I don't have to be as quiet. This is huge. Josh, what were your thoughts on it?
Didn't we talk about this last time I was on the show?
Yeah, we did. Because it was
this exact thing.
It was a
because
negotiation.
It was up in the air as to this was right when Fight to Win left Flow, and I said, "What's left on Flow that people want to watch, other than like the big IBJJF,
the major
IBJJFs
events. and the other events that Flow has brought in a lot of other events and who's number one, and they do have They do have almost weekly programming, but losing Fight to Win is a big deal.
That was a big knock, and then now they've just lost ADCC.
It's interesting, but I'm happy. So I'm less focused on that.
I think it's an interesting move.
Yeah,
I think overall it's cheaper on Fight Pass. Yes,
I think I pay. I don't ever mess with my rate for Fight Pass for any of them. I just we do the podcast. I just I sign up. I have everything.
It's like
I think it's $98 a year.
Which is cheaper than Flow Grappling.
I think Flow's about $150, $160.
Like $150.
I think I pay like $120 for Fight Pass because I never do any of the promos. I just keep everything the same. So I think I pay about like
somewhere in that range.
Somewhere around there.
So it's a little bit cheaper. Their website is better.
The streaming is better.
The
production usually is better.
They will probably put even more money behind it, other than what like the Abu Dhabi people are putting behind it. Like they'll put good money behind it. The quality of the event will be good.
Yeah, and Mo's even talking about basically
video,
like
the whole shebangle.
The way to kind of push, and Mo is really looking to push the sport forward. And he's talking about, hey, we're doing a lot. We're going to continue to blow the fans away, because that's how you continue to build the sport, make it better and better and better and better for the fans and as a viewer, and like. I believe the guy. After watching the last two events, being at both of them live, I believe it. If he thinks that's the right place to put the organization and the World Championships, like, dude, I am fully on board. I am looking forward to the interface. I'm looking forward to having like a streamlined interface with a better search, and like Fight Pass back in 2014, 2015 had a really, really good interface for like finding matches, finding fighters, finding profiles. I think that they are making, especially with ADCC, I'm guessing how much they paid for it, we're going to see some changes in Fight Pass to facilitate like more fighter profiles and more like integration between seeing all of the matches for a particular athlete and an organization. And they're going to go back to what they kind of had in 2016 with their smaller library, where it was much more searchable and much more integrated between your ability to go and find like footage and matches.
Do you remember like when that first started, when they had the little markers on the timestamps where it would say like a submission was caught, and then if it was finished or
round
not?
End, round over, like those jumping markers. Those
were great.
Still for any platform. If you haven't known, Fight Pass, it's probably been 4 years. since they updated again. I think it was 18. They updated again. In their player, they used to have most of the matches on Fight Pass. All of the modern ones and even a lot of the older ones were marked individually for like when a round starts, when a round ends, when a fight ends, when a walkout starts, when a submission is like on, when even like a knockdown happened or like a close finishing thing. There was all of these different markers that they had, and you could individually click on the video to jump to specific markers to like watch key moments. And this is back in 2018 where not many players had that. And it was awesome
Wonderful.
to watch events through Fight Pass because it had that. I hope they bring that back.
It was super helpful for us when they had grappling on there.
Oh my God, it was awesome.
When
Some
we
of the
knew
early
like if a match was like slow, but we knew how it ended, and it's like, okay, let's jump to that point where the submission is caught,
right.
and then
because that's what we want to talk about. I want to highlight, and we'll talk through it on the pre-show so that we could do our notes better. It was awesome. So I'm super excited. I think UFC, especially with winning the Invitational and like. UFC seems to be making a big push to push that as their own platform. Like the organization is on ESPN Plus, like UFC is, but they seem to be pushing Fight Pass like they were back in like 2015 again.
Like back in the day when it was still kind of fresh, as it was like it was this own little thing where you could only watch these things here, and you could replay some of those things. Yeah, like from point A to point B.
They're bringing it in as its own service now, which is like, hey, it has all of these offerings like all the other streaming services have, but you're gonna pay for it to watch like these things. They're building out that library of live content.
They're bolstering it.
Yeah, and I'm excited because the interface is really good. It's easy to find stuff in Fight Pass. And I've always really liked that because they're very kind of pared down for what they offer, and the search is wonky at times, but they've fixed the search.
It's easy,
and I can go and find the matches I want to go find, and they usually go part out individual matches immediately.
And that's the other thing too. If I type in Paulo Miao in Fight Pass, it's going to bring me every single thing for Paulo Miao. That is it. Not somebody named Paulo and then something else.
In the new update, it has a problem with that sometimes. In the old one, it used to. But it's possible to do in the platform. So I'm really excited about that. Like, hey, you want to go watch every Gordon matches on Fight Pass? Boom, click it. It's going to load you all the Gordon matches. And so I'm looking forward for them to continue doing that. I think UFC is also, on the branding side, going to put money behind the promotion of the event to outside audiences. Like, we're seeing ADCC advertised now on a UFC pay-per-view. The Invitational for Gordon Ryan was advertised on a UFC pay-per-view.
I'm wondering if Mo was already in talks with them pre-ADCC, this one that just passed.
They were at, some of the people for Fight Pass were at ADCC, and he spoke with them at ADCC.
So I'm wondering if like all of that stuff and filling up that arena was like, look, we can do this.
Yeah. And Mo talked about that on a live stream that he did when it was announced on Saturday. Mo did a live stream on the ADCC page on Instagram, and he talked about that. He goes, look, the executives were impressed. Like, they saw the fans, and they saw like the engagement that you guys had, and like the pop that arena had for the events and for the grapplers, and they watched you all enjoy the event, and they were impressed by it. And he goes, the fans helped do this. And it was cool. It was cool to like him to go back and go, this is not in a small part because of the guys like us that are there and like having a good time, yelling and watching Haisam Rita like hit amazing arm bars, and enjoying those matches, and the energy for those crowds, I think definitely played into the UFC's interest in the organization. Again, ADCC's been on.
It was on Fight Pass, like the older stuff.
The older stuff was on. The video stuff was on there. They never broadcast it live, but you could go back. I think I used to know this offhand.
Early ones.
I think you can go back and watch like 90. Yeah, because every year 98. 96 through 98 was every year. Like 98.
Everything before 2000, I think. Or 2001.
Something like that. And then I think they had up until like 04 or 06. I think they even bought they had the Budo video stuff too, I think.
It was on the off years, not even years.
Yeah,
it used to be.
Yeah. I think they had up to 05 then.
And since the whole
you can go back and watch a bunch of
thing,
Marcelo matches on there, and it's cool.
Speaking of which, there's that news too, which is a huge bummer.
Yeah, other news. Marcelo Garcia has stomach cancer. That's unfortunate.
This is how you... I'm not going to say it. Never mind. Maine will get mad at me and have to edit it out. Yeah. I'll tell him afterwards, and he'll laugh and go, "Yup." But how terrible of a thing to happen to like the nicest human being,
the nicest guy
in the world.
So that's unfortunate. He's going back to New York to get treatment for it. Wish him and his family all the best. Hope that
hopefully everything's
everything
good
works
with him.
out great. Again, Marcel, you've had plenty of interaction with Marcel over the
Sweet
years. I've had the pleasure of meeting him, I think only once, but everything about the dude is always just
the very first time I met
around.
him was right after he fought his only MMA match, and he taught a seminar. And we invited him to go swimming somewhere. And he was like, where is this? Because I have to be at this place at this time. We were like, oh, it's here. It's about this far away. He was like, if I didn't have to be somewhere, I would definitely come. And we were like, damn. It would have been cool to hang out and flip off of cliffs with Marcelo Garcia.
Yeah. Wish him all the best.
Yes,
Hope that
absolutely.
everything turns out well.
Hopefully everything's good.
I think this probably does put a damper on his willingness to return to competition like he had talked about in 2022, but again, wish him all the best and hope that he gets through that. I've had people in my life that have been taken by cancer, so I again wish him all the best with his family.
Hopefully again.
Glad he's in the ADCC Hall of Fame. I'm trying to spin this in a positive
in a positive way.
Everybody
here at the Grappling Rewind is behind Marcelo Garcia and wishing him the best.
Yeah. So big news for ADCC this week in that organization. And I really can't overstate how we're making such a big deal about that, because them on a major platform that's not FightPass is kind of a walled garden, but FightPass does a great job at promoting those events.
They have a whole lot of casuals that will just watch it just because it's being promoted.
Yeah, and you see it on the forums. People talk about oh yeah, I have FightPass and it was on, so I just watched it. And there are plenty of people that talk about getting into grappling through EBI because it was on FightPass, and I just turned on FightPass and I was like, oh, watch this, and I can do this, and then they get into grappling as a result of it. That is not we train with people who have told us that story. Yeah. And that's wild. And so having ADCC on there and having it on the platform and having it on the pay-per-views and having it in that ecosystem, I think is great for the sport. And I wish that, I'm
just an angry man. I'm like, what? You haven't seen this obscure match from 2001? Yeah. And they're like, you have? And I'm like, yup. Yeah, Josh, that's why we do this podcast. So I'm excited. I really am curious to see how they handle the opens, because those are a lot of matches. I know they will probably shoot a few cameras to each one of those things. Be like, all right, set them up, start filming it. As long as they can kind of do, not picture in picture, but have you have every single mat up, but you can have specific
multiple mat
commentary going. That would be fine, or just single commentary, or no commentary. That's fine. But if I can watch all three matches at once, awesome. Yeah, because that's one of the things that I've always hated is having to jump around. Yeah, or oh, we've split up the screen, but it's one and the other. We won't get any stupid commercials.
Jesus, that'll be awesome. Not to get commercials midway through the
not
streams.
Talking about it. We're not going to get commercials on Fight Pass. That's what I do know. Yep. Anyway. That's awesome. You want to get into the
yeah, let's do it. I don't think there's any other news. That was the news this week for grappling. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Fight to Win 218. This one is headlined by Clay Mayfield and Giovanni Ortiz in Tennessee.
You did a good job of pronouncing their names right.
I try to do that, man. After 5 years, I've tried to slow my cadence down and get names a little more correct. Again, it's on the bumper. It's been on the bumper of the show since 2018. If you have a name you'd like us to pronounce correctly, let us know.
I think it was on there before that.
Emil and I recorded one individually that has been there since 2018.
That's been there since the beginning.
That is the standard outro for the podcast.
Shout out.
Now.
What's up, Emil?
Yeah. I'm talking to him recently. He's doing good.
That's always good.
Yeah.
Great guy.
So there was a couple pieces in this match that were fun, but really the big thing that I thought was really interesting in this match is the duck under that Clay hits pretty early in the match. The setup for it was really, really neat.
They were doing a whole lot of hand fighting and stuff, and Ortiz comes in with an inside tie, and Mayfield overties, or goes over top, and then the head's on that side, and he's got the right arm over top, and he drops towards what would be Ortiz's right leg. And then it looks like he was going to grab the leg and then just shifted around and went to the back.
Gets him down.
Ortiz sort of went down / Mayfield took him down.
He kind of tried to roll through almost what you do, do that spin to the knee bar or spin
he was trying to avoid getting his back taken.
Yeah.
And that worked out briefly until he got stuck in an arm triangle, which I thought was going to get finished. Mm-hmm. And then Mayfield transitioned back to the back anyway. Didn't get the finish there. Ortiz did have the legs for a little bit.
He had a nice heel hook attempt kind of late into the match.
Yeah.
That Mayfield did a really good job of like kind of running man and spinning off. They kind of the old school traditionalist cape for a heel hook, which is funny to kind of say when you say that out loud. Gets out of it. But for the majority of the match, it was kind of Clay in the driver's seat there, and he's a guy that we've seen from Pedigo. He takes a pretty clean decision, but it was a fun match. He's a guy from Pedigo that I think we're going to see more of. He's got the Pedigo tattoo on his chest.
They all do.
They all do. But I'm very curious to see, again, that we're seeing more guys coming out of that gym with wrestling. And
it's a very wrestle-heavy gym, and there's a lot of guys that wrestle and people that are wrestlers that go there. Like, they're not on short supply of wrestling. I mean, if you have people that wrestle in your gym, they should be helping everybody else out to wrestle.
Yeah. And so
like you should be wrestling, period. Not just for like, oh, you need a no-gi program, you need to wrestle. No, you need wrestling, period. For gi jiu-jitsu, for no-gi jiu-jitsu. Like, if you don't have multiple people teaching judo and teaching those takedowns, you need people doing shit. You should still have a wrestler anyway. You should be teaching wrestling, okay? Just wrestle. You know judo, do judo too, but wrestling.
I like judo, Josh.
I do too.
My game is more judo than wrestling because my knees are shot.
I will try to kick your ankles out from you and foot sweep you, but I also enjoy wrestling, and it's fun. And it hurts, and you should learn it because everybody else knows it is starting to learn it now, and they're beating you up with it.
Yeah. So Clay takes a clean decision on that. Again, we're seeing more and more wrestlers from the Pedigo squads like showcase that they have a depth of wrestling and really giving a lot of people problems. I think this is more of the same. And just kind of speaks to, you kind of get, as we watched it over the years, you have gyms that will get certain flavors to their grappling. And like, oh yeah, you'll see a guy come into a gym and suddenly that gym can sort of do a thing. I think the exception to that is a lot of the Atos guys when Keenan was there. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like Atos kind of has a style kind of built upon Andre's style, and Keenan's kind of going and doing his own thing. And they all have like similar like Atos style game.
I think they all kind of like cannibalized each other's games for a while, and then it was like, this is what we're gonna do.
But a lot of gyms, you see a lot of gyms go through that. It's interesting to watch that with Pedigo of like really leaning into the forward heavy pressure wrestling, the outside wrestling on guys, because it works. And we saw it at trials. We're seeing it from Couch. We're seeing it from a lot of people from that team. It's cool to see it here with Clay. There was also on this card a really, really nasty
wicked
leg break. I missed the two grapplers' names. You can go watch the highlight on Instagram.
It was on there.
It's just a heel hook, and a lot of people going, that was the loudest break I have
very loud.
Ever heard. And again, unfortunate. Wish best of luck to that.
My favorite part of that whole clip is somebody in the crowd that is close enough for a mic to pick up from a camera goes, "He's so young.
He's too young. He's too young.
He's too young for that." I'm like,
oh Jesus, man. But it's
what was
brutal.
The co-main?
I think I have it written down in my notes here. Let me pull it up, Josh.
It was the guy from Sean Hammond's.
Yeah,
and he finished that heel hook super super quick.
Oh yeah, it was. So I'm blanking on the names.
Yeah,
but
I'm blanking on the names. We didn't write them down, of course. We're a bunch of weirdos.
We're missing Miranda for this episode.
Yep.
It was really interesting. He just throws his leg over from the guard, from like the low half guard, throws his leg all the way over the head to enter like a 50-50.
He like stepped over almost like the knee bar, and the guy readjusted, and then he was like, okay, well, this is my heel now. And he just took it, and it was like 45 seconds. It was super, super
He used
quick.
a really fun, like not for fun grip, but an interesting grip where he was like hand over hand, like the almost like the hug grip. Yeah. What's the name for that grip?
I don't know. I what's funny is I taught class yesterday, and I covered it that way. I was like, you see how everybody normally like puts it on the wrist or their forearm? I'm like, screw that. Like, get it up near your elbow, try to reach over to your lat, then grab the back of your arm and hug it. Give it a nice good hug. You love the heel, and then rotate your body as you extend.
I learned that from Tonin, I think. It's the first guy I saw. Tonin Cummings is the first guy when I started training that I saw doing it like that. I was like, oh,
Tonin showed it at our gym when he did the seminar.
Yeah.
That was pre-you.
That was pre-me by like very pre-me by
a couple of months,
I think. Yeah. Then I moved here. And you guys were like, where's my guy Tony? I was like, oh, that was cool. And then I met him and interviewed him years later. But he's the first guy I see to use that, and that's really come to prominence now. But that was I was like,
did you guys talk about his fight last week?
He won very brief. He won his fight by
Kimura.
Yeah, we talked about it because it was a weird step over Kimura from the outside.
Sorry, I just like squirreled a little bit.
Fun.
I was like, oh, Gary Tonin, he just fought. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was like the same card as the Musumeci thing. So that was last week. Yeah,
that was there. And that more.
There's
more
news.
on
That guy's leg got fucked.
Yeah, we knew it, but I think
MCL, ACL, LCL, torn, broken knee,
broken leg. I think. I don't think broken knee.
He broke his leg. He fucked up like all of the ligaments.
Yeah, he did. 2 of them, I think, didn't get fucked up, but every other thing you possibly could have gotten.
I want to say PCL and something else.
Maybe, yeah. Because somebody posted a meme of the 2 of like those 2 hanging strong in the knee, and it was kind of like, oh, that was funny.
What normally goes? The ACL is what normally. What's the other thing that's in there? That
PCL, MCL, LCL. I'm not a medical guy, man. I'm
just
a science guy.
I'm trying to think of like the other thing that normally happens.
Gantermer's leg from last week,
it's fucked.
And a lot of people like that are medical doctors in the comments, so always take that with a grain of salt, are basically going. I think even his team was like, yeah, he's out for 12 months
minimum,
if not like ever. Essentially, like this is such a great injury. This is like
not worth it.
People talk about like, oh, this is a car crash injury, and it was like,
dude, it was bad.
It's a decision you make in the match. Again, wish him all the best.
That
but
dude
it is even
the shit out of that thing. And
oh my god, to break your leg, to have your leg broken by Michael Musumeci, and then just like it looked bad. To have him be that calm through that match with that happening, like,
and his shit's just destroyed.
Guys are like guys are like that sometimes, but it's rare to see it on a professional stage
son.
like that.
Nah.
Dude.
You're not going to be able to make money or do anything. You got one leg.
Yeah, and I just love Demetrius Johnson on commentary talking about. He goes, "Nah, he gets my leg like that, I'm gonna tap." And because DJ wants to fight Mike, wants to have a respectful match against Demetrius Johnson.
DJ's out of his goddamn mind.
No, sorry, Mikey wants to have a match with DJ.
Well, I was about to say,
and
if DJ still wants that match, he's out of his goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so, but regardless, so we know kind of the extent of the injuries.
It's fucked.
It's unfortunate. I think a guy that can contend with Mikey, like not contend with him, but like we would have seen a lot more from him. Probably it was a guy it was interesting to see more from. We're now not going to see more from that, and now he's potentially going to destroy He's going to destroy his entire career with these injuries. It is just very unfortunate, and it's sort of the other side of the sport that we usually don't talk about at the level we cover on this show.
So, who was the guy that beat him at who's number 1?
Mikey?
Yeah.
Souza.
Yeah.
No.
Gabriel Souza.
Was it Gabriel Souza?
Yeah.
I always forget if it's Pato or Souza. Two weight classes.
He's like 2 weight classes up.
Yes.
It's like, that's what Mikey has to do to like lose.
Because Kleber Souza, he just went against at 1FC a couple months ago.
That's Kleber, where he won the title.
Because Kleber was the only other guy that he hadn't avenged the loss with. Because he was still, he avenged it, but he was still 1-1 with Kleber. And so then he fought him like 5 years later in 1FC. And now he beat him again, but Gabriel Souza is the match to make. It's just weird because I don't know if Souza can make the weight class that Mikey has the title in, which is the weird thing.
I think Mikey would just go up.
But I'm saying if Mikey's the champion, then
I think they're going to start to challenge it. Who are you going to start to bring in at Mikey's weight class that
nobody
is going to be a threat?
Baby Shark. I think Baby Shark is a fun match to make.
It's a fun match, but I don't know if it's like. I don't know.
I think Baby Shark is ADCC champion.
Yeah,
I think that
like you're taking wrestling out of it because Mikey will not wrestle. Mm-hmm. Mikey will just sit down.
Yeah, and they've changed the rules a little bit in 1FC to kind of deal with that a little bit. But I still, we're talking about matches for guys we want to see. I want to see Mikey get the DJ match because he wants it, so dude earned it. I want to see him versus Fabricio Andre, Gabriel Souza, and Baby Shark. Those are the 3 guys that I want to see him against.
He absolutely handles Fabricio Andre.
I do too, but I think it would be interesting. In Nogi, I think it's interesting.
I'd love to see him against somebody that would really put some would fill his pants with crap. I'd love to see him against Galvao. Mika Galvao.
But
that's
so
much bigger.
But Galvao is like 85.
Yeah, but like somebody that's going to really put the pressure on Mikey. Like, people don't put that kind of pressure on Mikey.
A lot of times they can't, but it was...
Right. I want to see somebody who can.
Yeah. They'd be fun. Again, there's some fun matches for Mikey.
The dude's done absolutes before.
He has. I would love to see those kind of matches with Mikey. I'm curious to see kind of what ONE FC's plan is, especially because now I think that those subs went a little viral on like that, so there may be some more interest there for Grappling. Very, very curious to see who he continues to go around. That was last week, Josh, but moving on. So, Fight was fun this week. There were some horrific injuries.
It was awful. Oh,
yeah.
God.
There was some cool subs, though. There was a couple of guys that we covered. There was a cool calf slicer win from Frome, who we've covered before on the show. There was, overall, it was a fun, again, fight to win.
Good.
Always fun.
Fight to
Always
win
love
on
watching
fight.
it. Let's move on to
Submission Only Series
Submission
9.
Only Series. I always muck up the name, and I didn't actually write it in my
SOS.
notes. I want to talk about really just, it was a team-style tournament, quintet-style tournament. We love these. We had a hard time taking all the notes we needed because the names
are hard
were
to
not on the
get,
screen for the
yeah.
entirety of the match. And for quintet style stuff, it makes it really, really hard to follow it through, to take efficient notes. I want to talk about just two of the Andy Varela matches. Because Andy Varela was one of the guys on the card, on the teams that was the guy we were most familiar with. And like, again, ADCC, invitee, Absolute did both of them. We know Varela is a monster. He had a match, his first match versus Ryan Crocker. That was really interesting. And I was, again, impressed with Crocker. We weren't sure what the weight difference was exactly between the two.
It looked like a good amount.
Yeah. But Varela, dude, he hit you. You called it. We rewatched it before the podcast. He hits you with his body like Wagner does.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a really interesting trait.
He grapples violently. He doesn't care. Like, when you're in the training room and you accidentally, like, hit somebody with your foot or you, like, smack them in the face by accident. You're like, well, sorry. He competes
he doesn't have that
way.
Yeah.
And, like, he hits you legally.
But he doesn't do it in the way that I don't like, where it's like he's hitting you just to like make you do something.
He's not doing the cyborg to Gordon Ryan, just smacking you upside the head.
He had two entries.
He's throwing his body into you.
Yeah, he had two entries here that really, really illustrate that and showcase. We saw it at West Coast Trials, but seeing it with this pulled in camera and like so close, like on the mat, really showed me. He threw a Darce and he threw
his body into it, and that's what led to the Darce attempt. Was he like threw a knee cut, but he hit him with his sternum.
Yeah, he hit Ryan in the chest with the sternum.
And he started to like cut through essentially and try to get that Darce, and Ryan was hip to it, as anybody that competes against Varela should be. And then he started getting violent once he took his back, he started just getting violent with it. And just like, okay, everything above the neck is the neck.
Varela, you saw him.
He tried to choke his eyes. That definitely happened.
Like Nicky Rod style and like everyone else style. But you saw Varela just come across super hard and just continue. Ryan did a great job. I was impressed. Ryan's not a guy I think we've covered on the show before. I was very impressed with like kind of how sound his defense was, and even at one point he goes for a leg lock early in the match on Varela, and he didn't get there, but it forced Varela to get out and clear, and like Ryan kind of held onto it, and it wasn't just, you could tell it wasn't a guy holding on like he was like, I'm worried. He was like trying to readjust and pull the leg back through, and Varela was like, okay, you're not gonna like just let me bust out of this. You're going to force me to fully commit the hands to your knee, clear the knee, get out, and go back into this knee cut passing. It was, again, I was impressed. Eventually, Varela goes belly down, like all the way belly down.
And just chokes the shit out of him, busts up his nose doing it.
Yep, just crunches through. So, again.
And then the following match, like.
Because it's quintet style, Varela stays on versus a fresh opponent from the same team. And Varela ran up against, I'm going to get the guy's name, Josh Sorrells.
Yeah, and it was just like a lot of back and forth and pushing, and
it's kind of how you want to deal with a guy like Varela if you're trying to take out a top seed guy like that in a tournament. And we talk about it in quintet, like we always try to, how do I put this? Like without not being disparaging, you want to sometimes play a really boring kind of non-committal match versus a top seed guy because
you want to take him out.
So tactically, it's like, that's
like
exactly
there might be
what
a guy
you
where
should
it's
be
like,
doing.
I'm not going to win, but how do I not lose and also get rid of that guy from wipe? It's like what you would want to do with Gordon Ryan if you could do that.
Yeah,
like,
basically.
How do I somehow hug onto him and not let him kill me?
Yeah.
Eliminate him from
how do you play a tactical match for long? And that's kind of what we saw. We saw him force Varela to top and then sort of play in a really interesting mid-range where it's like you're not letting Varela... He played in the middle of standing up range constantly, and it's so hard.
Varela loves to dive off of that angle for that Darce and other things, and he played just far enough away to where he couldn't, and that's what got the draw, which eliminated Varela.
Yeah. It was neat, though. Again, it's not something I want to see in every single match, but occasionally, when there's a reason for him, okay, this guy's playing this way for a reason. It's not because he's unwilling to commit. It's a tactical choice. I'm good with it. I'll watch it all day. Again, Josh did a really good job, taking Varela to the place, pulling out Varela, giving his team a chance to probably have more evenly matched up folks versus a dude that almost won ADCC trials. That's a tough dude to get through. So great tactics there. Again, it was a fun event. It was just getting all the names organized to cover the matches.
And also, they need to turn on the lights.
Yeah, towards the end of the event, it was really dark, and
they needed more lights.
It was
more lights. Hard to watch.
Yeah, some of it definitely in the last probably 30 or 40 minutes of the event, it got really dark, and I'm looking at two guys' legs, and I'm like, ooh, that's actually kind of hard to see whose leg is in the half guard where. So I would, love to see more lights. But other than that, the beginning of the event is great. The ambient light coming in, I think, is actually kind of a cool effect.
Yep.
But when the sun went down, it was all of a sudden ooh, this is a little harder to watch. So overall, very fun. Happy to see him on Flow. I would love to see the names remain there the entire time, and then I would love to see a graphic pop up between rounds of where the teams stand, kind of exactly what Quintet does.
Yes.
Because it's very, very hard to follow. And take notes for us to take notes and just as a viewer to watch without those interstitial graphics. And that's why the UFC has the names and the rounds and kind of the information that they have. That's why organizations do that. I would love to see that. Again, commentary was great on the event. It was fun.
It helps us, the weird guys that cover all of these events.
Well, it's also just
all the
time. Even when we're
and it's good for the viewer.
For stuff that we watch that we don't cover on the show.
Maybe you come in midway through and you just don't know. Oh, I just got home and I can't. Who is this? You don't feel like rewinding it. You're I'm watching it live.
So it was good. It was fun. Varela looked good, and it was overall a fun team tournament. They had some B team guys, some Planet guys. They had some Legion guys,
Gracie Baja
guys. They had a team there as well. It was fun. Go watch it. That does it for the recaps. So let's get into the previews. We previewed them last week because Maine doesn't know weeks apparently, so I got the weeks wrong. So it's not Euros this week. So we have a guy going to Euros from our gym. And it was Wednesday and we were training. And I went, hey, man, why aren't you in Europe? And he was, that's next week. And I realized I went, oh, cool. We previewed Euros a week early.
Where you had nobody's names.
Well,
other than you went through we
went through the registration. But again, so IBJJF recently has made a change that they are now releasing,
the brackets are out now. Guess what? Out. It's Sunday.
Yeah, and the brackets did not used to be out prior to the day before the event started.
Well, it starts technically tomorrow, doesn't it? Or the day after?
I think it is tomorrow. I think it's Tuesday start is usually what it is, I think.
So that's probably why it's out right now. But either way,
we now have brackets. We didn't used to have brackets for previews. We got brackets. We have
bring that up and make it bigger because I'm blind.
What's that? We don't have space for this. I can't see that. I can't see the recording now.
Oh no, it's not recording.
It happened before, Josh. There's a reason
I'm aware.
Right. Give me two. It's on the wrong screen now. All right, we got technical difficulties. All right. Okay.
It's being weird.
And we're back. So we got the men's roosterweight division.
You're reading this all. I need a telescope for that, dude.
It is actually kind of small. I will give you that, Josh. It is pretty small.
I'm old. I can't read.
We haven't had a chance to preview these yet. We have Tadaya Danforth on the same side as Taliesin Soares. And we have Werson Goncalves and
Goncalves, Jesus.
And Frank Cespedes on the other side of the bracket. I think Taliesin goes all the way here.
Yeah.
Men's roosters
are pretty small. This is Tadaya's first big tournament at
second, I think.
Is it a second one?
I think it's I forget.
Did he do Nogi?
He might have done. I think he did Pans.
I don't know. It'll be.
Tadaya's a local guy to us. We've watched him for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Since Blue Belt.
A while since he was a kid.
Yeah, since he was a kid, actually. So that's roosterweight division. Moving on to the light featherweight division. Pablo Montavani is in your upper right-hand spot. Diego Oliveira Batista takes your number 1 spot. We have
That's
Malachi.
Pato, isn't it?
I think all of it probably is Dream Art. Yes, Pato.
Yeah, Pato.
It's Pato. We have Malachi, 2nd place at the Worlds 2 years ago.
Yeah.
On the other side of the bracket, Tomoyuki Hashimoto and
Hashimoto's up at light feather, huh?
And Yuta Shimada. So I just did some commentary in Virginia for Yuta, for he competed. So it was cool. He won trials back 2017 Asian trials for ADCC.
It'll be interesting.
He had he's a wild dude to watch. So that should be I think he probably gets through Mario.
He loses to
Out of it,
Hashimoto.
but I think it's Yuta versus Hashimoto. They probably met each other before.
They have.
Because they're both Japanese. I think they might have even been against each other in a
They have, and
trials.
I think Tomoyuki won.
Yeah.
Last time as well.
So that will be fun. I think we probably get on the right side of the bracket, we probably get Malachi and Tomoyuki. I think Malachi probably takes that over
I think Pato
Hashimoto.
takes the whole bracket.
And I think Pato probably beats Malachi as well. So that should be a very fun.
Oh, they got the
bracket
full names down there?
For the swaps and the rankings.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
the
cool.
rankings.
But they have the full name. If you hover over it,
If you hover
right?
over it,
hey,
they do.
that's a nice little
We're getting there slowly with
quality of
IBJJF.
life.
So that is light featherweight. Moving on to the featherweight division, Fabricio Andre in the number one slot. João Pinedo from Athos is his first matchup. We have, let's see,
Who is that guy? Who's from Vicente's team?
Michael. He's
Is it just Michael Christopher?
yeah. I went against him years ago at Blue Belt.
Yeah, I was just trying to remember.
Yeah, same
who
guy.
it was.
So he's out there now. We have, let's see. We have half the names, unfortunately, because
You
they're
can scroll down and you can go over their entire names.
yeah, but we don't have where they sit in the bracket, Josh. That's the
so
problem.
you're just gonna have to go up and down a little bit. Jeez.
Let's see. We have a division of 16 overall.
It's a nice little division for
It
featherweight.
is a division. I think. I honestly think that Fabricio Andre takes this.
It's his division to lose.
Yeah, very much so in featherweight. Again, look at how he did at ADCC. That should kind of give you a barometer of what he's probably going to look like. In the lightweight division, we have Marcio Andre getting a bye in the first round. He takes on the winner of Sean Doval White and Elijah Dorsey. I think probably Marcio Andre goes through that. We have Max Lindbad taking on Kevin Maheka.
who we've covered a billion trillion times.
And then we have Gabriel Da Silva taking on the winner of that.
Murasaki's in this division.
Is he really?
Yep,
Oh, he's
over
a
there.
lightweight. Yep. Where is he at? Oh, there he is. He's number. I mean, he's
He
number
gets a
one.
bye. Yeah,
he's number one in the
one
division.
seed.
He gets a bye. He gets. Who is probably his toughest friend? We have 2 brackets for this one.
This is a big one.
Yep, I think Murasaki probably takes the first bracket. He is probably in the finals with Marcio Andre here in the
That'll be an interesting
bracket
match.
1. Novo Niao versus Atos. On the second bracket, we have Vinicius Dos Santos from Gracie Barra. We have, let's see, I'm looking for other big names, but we have Victor Hugo Dos Santos, different Victor Hugo from Cicero Costa. I think Murasaki takes this. Do you have other thoughts there?
No, I'm just peeking through again.
Murasaki
I'm
probably
old, I
takes your
can't
lightweight
read.
bracket here. For Euros, middleweight bracket, first round matchup, Espen Mathisen versus Bradley Hill. That should be fun.
That'll be an interesting match.
Yeah, definitely 2 European guys that we've covered at length for years. We have Eldar Da Silva. That's not Elder Cruz.
No.
He's checkmat.
And
We have
he's
Tynan Daupra is your number 1 seed.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
Him
who,
versus Espen, unless Tommy's in this.
Let me look at the other. There's only one bracket here, so I don't see Tommy Langacker in this bracket, but he should be at
Espen's
above middle.
is a motherfucker.
I mean, he's ranked
to
2
beat too.
with the points for this division.
It'll be interesting to see if they meet in the finals.
I'm
But
not
I think
picking
Tynan
anyone versus Tynan.
Yeah, Tynan's just too good.
Like, he has shown just in the gi.
he just moves.
Yeah.
You can't do
Schmoovin',
anything.
as you say, Josh.
I do not say schmoovin'.
I think you do.
I don't. Don't put that bad juju on me.
Medium heavyweight division. We have, who's the number 1 seed for this division? We got Tarek Hopstock in here, number 6. We have 2 brackets for that. That's why I couldn't find it. Jensen Gomez is from Checkmat here. We have
Sperendin Mateus. I can never say his last name.
Sparendelli.
Yeah, that one.
He's number 1 by points. We have Clay Clay Mansfield that we talked about from Pedigo, ranked
Mayfield.
Mayfield. What did I say? Mayfield.
Oh, okay, cool.
So he's going to potentially take on Mateus in the second round if he makes it through his first match.
Yep.
So that should be fun. Jansen Gomez is here as well.
They really need the full names.
Yeah,
man.
this is. We have Tarek Hops. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, we said Hopstock.
This is
already.
hard. This bracket's really hard.
Yeah. This is medium heavy.
This is medium heavy.
Yeah.
Is this Tinoco? Marcus Tinoco?
Who's he under?
He's under Freitas Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Freitas?
No, I think Tinoco would be listed under Alliance because he was Marcelo's unless he left.
Oh yeah, that I think that's correct. We're looking at half the names here because their full names aren't
Too
listed.
heavy.
I pulled up medium heavy twice. On the heavyweight division, Devontae Johnson here in your 6th seed. We have Gabriel Henrique from Alliance as your 4th seed. Only one bracket for this one. Felipe Andrew.
Yeah,
Felipe Andrew shows the fuck up for Euros.
Oh,
if there's one dude.
I think that's the.
But Felipe Andrew and Devontae are on the same side of the bracket.
Wardzinski's over on that side.
Wardzinski's on the other side of the bracket, and Ryder Zutri is on the same side as the bracket of Wardzinski. So I think we're probably going to get Wardzinski and Ryder on their semifinal, and then the winner of that will go on to take Felipe Andrew versus Devontae. I kind of think Felipe takes this whole thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Felipe, that's a dude that shows up to Euros. That Keenan triangle was the one heard around the world, and that was a Euros 2019 or 2020.
Just before the pandemic, I think.
Yeah, that was like a month before. That was January, and everything kind of kicked off in March.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Felipe Andrew. I'm picking Andrew. I will never not pick Felipe Andrew at Euros.
Safe pick.
Moving on to the super heavyweight division, we have, let's see, Cannon Duarte. He's back from suspension. He back to do the thing.
He's gonna win.
He's gonna win. A
bunch of people that we're not familiar with.
Who is the number 1 from Alliance? I can scroll over the name.
That's not popping up because it's. Oh, that's boo.
What?
It's hiding under the numbered competitor.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
And it's not being. That's butt.
Yep.
It's from Alliance.
Yeah, from Alliance. Marcus Vinicius.
Don't know.
I don't have the full name here, so I can't tell you who it is. But the number 1 rank, so it's probably a guy that we know. But again, Duarte's here.
He gets a buy.
Smaller bracket, a bracket of only 9 people.
Yeah.
Duarte's going to buy. Duarte starts off the round.
He gets a buy in the quarterfinals.
He starts in quarterfinals. So
it's not a big bracket.
Not a big bracket. On to ultra heavyweight division.
Safe. Big old safe. Up top, number 3.
Oh, there he is.
Igor Silva.
What do you think he's about? What's he about? 3.5 bills?
4 bills.
Is he 4 bills?
Minimum.
Yeah.
4 bills minimum.
Yep. And then
Trying to see some other names.
Mason Fowler's in here, number 1 seed.
I respect it. It'll be interesting.
I go Fowler on this. Igor Silva's on the other side of the bracket here. While East Costa is on the same side as Igor Silva.
Who is Pedro? I think I know the Pedro. Go down to the names down there. He should be number 5. Yeah.
I don't recognize that Pedro. I'm going Fowler. I think Fowler takes the whole thing. Has Fowler taken a gi?
Brazilian Nationals, Brasileiros?
At Brown.
He wanted it black.
Oh, he wanted it black. Okay, that was my question.
Remember?
Thank you. Yep. So
he beat
yeah, who'd he beat?
Muhammad Ali, remember? And Muhammad Ali was like, "Hey, I'm injured," and it was like, "Nah."
No, I don't remember.
Remember, he ripped open his gi and he was like, "Ah!" and he had won it. That was not a Brown. That was not black belt.
That was Brown. Okay, I've seen him win at Brown. I've seen him win black now. I want to see him win Euros. I think that he can do it. I think he can be like a gi no gi guy. So, Mason Fowler again, my pick for ultra heavyweight. Moving on to the female divisions. Roosterweight division is pretty big this year. We have 7 for women's roosterweight, which is a big roosterweight. I mean, there are times we've had like 2 in roosterweight. So we have Jessica Khan.
Yeah, Gutenberg Pereira, that's who it was.
Okay, yeah, I remember the Gutenberg Pereira match. Okay, you said Ali, and I was like, I don't know
why
the
I
Ali
said that.
match at all.
Yeah, Gutenberg Pereira, that's who he was.
I remember that now. Yep.
Yes,
that was fun.
From 2022.
So Jessica Khan, and we have Maria Kelly is her first round. We also have, let's see, Thais Loreno from Atos on the opposite side. I think we get a final between potentially Khan and I can never get her full name.
Thais Loreno Felipe?
Yeah. I think that's our finals there. Yeah, but again, we've had a lot of changes in women's roosterweight recently, so we're probably going to get a new European champion. Moving on to light featherweight for the women, we got Maisa Bastos, number 1, Brenda Larissa on the other side of it. I think that's probably the finals.
Yes.
And we probably see Maisa take that. But again, Larissa's given her problems before. I think they've gone back and forth a little bit.
I think so.
But I think that Bastos probably takes this at a major.
I think so.
Moving on to featherweight division, we have Sophia Marie Dalpra, ranked number 2 from AO. I don't know. Josh looked at me. I don't know if they're married. Could just be a coincidence. Also from AOJ. We have Ana Cristina Arujo from Dream Art on the other side of the bracket, ranked number 1. And we have number 5, I think, Rafaela and Alexandria, and Morgan Blake, who's a local Philly for us from Logic, also in this division. This is a tough one to call for me. I don't really have a big.
These are all
we also have Ashley Bendel as well from Ashley Williams' gym. So that should be.
Oh, okay.
That should be fun to see. She could potentially
There's
make
such a
waves
shift
here.
in like the women's jiu-jitsu scene where it's like I need to start paying more attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I watch it all, but it's just like some of the names I'm like, what? And
occasionally people get married and the names change and it throws me off for like 3 years.
Also true.
I mean, there's
not
still
3 years, but
for me,
true.
there's still women that I know by their maiden name that have been married for 5 years.
Well, that's just you.
Like Livia Glukowska. Livia Giles.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I still for some reason will flip her name accidentally.
Well, that's her name to me. Even though I know that she's married to Lachlan.
Yes, but now her name is Giles. It makes me laugh because
Yes.
occasionally it happens where it's like, what's their name? Oh, that's their name now because they changed their name. So moving on to the lightweight division, bigger division for the women. We have 9 in this one. Let's see.
Luisa Montero is a front runner. She's number 2 though. Who's ranked number 1?
Natalie Suarez.
Oh, okay.
And they're on opposite sides of the bracket. Yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously,
opposite sides of the bracket.
2 normally does that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? No, that's not her. That's Gracie Baja, so that's a different name.
Yeah.
Rocha.
I think we're going to get Montero probably in the finals here.
I'm just looking at
rest of it. Oh, not Rocha. Yeah, I saw the same thing. I thought it was Jasmine.
Yes, and I was like, wait, that's not her name.
Wagner's daughter, who's a black belt now. We've seen her on black belt stages, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't recognize a lot of names from this, so it'd be fun to see and learn new talent in this division.
Damn you, Miranda, not being here.
I know. Moving on to the middleweight division for women, a division of 8. We have Magdalena Loska, ranked number 4. We got Vanessa Griffith, other side of the bracket. Her first match is against Ana Beatriz Souza. We also have
Elizabeth Clay up top there.
Is she?
Yeah, she's number 2.
Oh, number 2. Okay. And then we have Thalita, and I can't.
Won't know because you can't.
I can't get her first number. She's Dream Art. So this should be fun.
It'll be interesting to see Clay in there. It'll be interesting to see Clay versus Vanessa Griffin if they meet up.
They've met up before. I think Clay took it pretty soundly last time in Nogi. Yeah, but it was interesting to see last time. So. That'll be a fun rematch potentially if both of them get through their first round matchups. We'll get that in semifinals.
Number 6.
Number 6 is Rachel Claire Ranch.
Rachel Claire Radichow
from Atos.
Okay. They're pumping out a lot of people too. Where it's
Atos has they have affiliates now. And
that's the other thing too.
It's like a lot of times Atos just still goes under Atos, not by the individual.
By the gym. Yeah.
So there's a lot of folks that we don't recognize that are from Atos that are not from Atos HQ in San Diego. Should be a really fun division. I wouldn't be surprised to see Magdalena take it, Vanessa Griffith take it, or Clay take this, or Thalita from Dream Art. Those are, again, 4. They're on the quads of the bracket.
Is
That's
Clay
kinda how it should be.
lower now?
Yeah.
Wasn't she at middle heavy before?
I think so. She's slimmed down a little bit, and I think the
Interesting.
speeds come up, which has been cool to see as well.
Interesting.
So, moving on to medium heavyweight division, a division of 4. Maria Maljasic, Amy Scott Campo, and then we have Sabita Frenta and Gabriela de Silva Shuck. It's funny to put Campo and Scott Clay, Maria Maljasic and Campo same side for me.
That's
Again,
not,
it's all,
especially
it's
if they're
all
the way
points.
they're ranked.
Yeah, I think Campo takes this. I
didn't think she was in medium heavy.
Oh yeah, is she that low?
I thought she was in heavy. Maybe she cut down. I don't know. I thought she was one weight class up.
I think that Amy Campo takes this.
I think Sabitha is. I think she's number 1 seed for a reason.
You think she takes it?
It'll be interesting.
In
Maria,
the gi.
Yeah. And Maria is always solid in the gi. So you can never really it'll be an interesting.
For 4, does IBJJF, they don't do the round robin at 4.
No, because there's 4.
They do it at 3.
So you have the full thing.
Yeah, they do it at 3 though.
Yes.
Okay. And then, this will be fun. I'm excited for this one. Heavyweight division, another division of 4. We have Elizabeth Mitrovic as number 1 seed. We have Amanda Magdala, Leticia Cardosa, and Rana. I'm not sure who she is. Rana Quibia.
We've probably seen her. And
we have before. I always just blank on the name.
Again,
to the
another
face.
division of 4. So when it's that close where you're ooh,
it's always hard to tell.
Yeah.
And then we have the super heavy division of 2. We have Claire France and Gabriela Pisana. I think Pisana takes that. Pisana historically has taken it over Claire France. Again, would love to see more women in super heavy. What happened to bigger woman, not Gabby Garcia, the other Porfirio? What happened to Tiny?
Steroids?
They did, but what? Where has she been?
I don't think she fought the accusation, and I think she took a full-blown deep suspension of more than 2 years.
Oh, really?
I think.
Okay.
I can't remember.
I thought that was AJP though.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I know that she couldn't make the weight for AJP, but again, she was up and coming, and she was just killing everyone, and then we just haven't seen her in a couple years, and Pisana has really taken over that
I think
throne.
It was the steroid thing, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I can't remember.
But yeah, Pisana's historically taken this. Again, I would put probably Amy Campo, Elizabeth Clay, and Pisana in your quarters or your semis for your open class as well. So should be fun. Euros are always a fun way to begin the year and kick it off with fun. That's it. That's all we got this week, Josh. What you got going on this week? Anything fun?
Other than my normal stuff of training and working and.
We were talking about the sumo, finishing the Sumo Ba show.
Yeah, but that's over now. It's not fun leading this week because it's over.
Yeah.
Just gonna continue deep diving into my nerdiness of Dungeons and Dragons and figure stuff out and watch the goings on in the Dungeons and Dragons world and watch the Europeans this week.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got going on, except without the D&D and just me commuting to work a lot.
You commuting to work and filming eggs.
Yeah, I'm doing time lapse stuff, so that's been fun to edit that.
Filming eggs.
But yeah, I got nothing else going on. I don't think it's really other than again I'm gonna continue to keep a lookout for ADCC in the news. ADCC, sure. I think there's gonna be more and more announcements. I think we're gonna start getting more information about the opens that are coming up. I think that will be I think we will get more information.
We'll eventually
sooner.
get the opening of East Coast, even though it's in October. That'll be hey, surprise, it's open.
Yeah.
Now everybody sign up.
So I'm curious with that. They capped registrations last time.
They're capping it this time.
They're capping it this time.
You already said it.
But I'm
256 people.
I'm curious to see how fast that fills up. Because I think that it was big in 2019.
Everybody in their mind. What was the total number of competitors?
I think the total at East Coast or West Coast.
Either or.
Over 1,000. But that is also women, men, because West Coast had women too. East Coast had women too, but it wasn't a qualifying event for women.
Yeah, but over 1,000, and you're looking at 66, 77, 88, 99, and plus 99, and then over
60
and
and
under 60. So that's 7 divisions. You're looking at like 120 some odd people apiece.
I think the smallest men's division was 99 plus, and I think that had. I'm gonna get this wrong. I looked it up a couple months ago because it was the biggest women's division was the same size as that division. The smallest men's
like
division.
60 some odd people,
60 or
wasn't it?
80, I think,
Yeah,
is what
something
it was.
like that. They're capping each division at 256 people.
You're going to hit that for 66. You're going to hit that for 77. You're going to get close for 88, at least in the initial registrations.
I don't know if you're going to hit it
I mean,
at
they hit,
77. I don't think you're going to hit it at anything other than 66.
I think 77 was the biggest one last time. I think 77 was bigger.
Was it?
Than, I
Well, maybe
think
then
so.
you'll hit it.
Yeah, I think that's.
I know 88 was close.
Yeah. I know. I think 66 and 77 were the two biggest divisions.
256 people is a shitload of
It's
people.
astonishing. That's why it's over 2 days and it makes sense. But it is interesting that.
Well, think about it. The first round.
It's interesting that you're finally. All of these years has been an open trials where it's like you show up. Now, for the first time ever, people could have the excuse, well, I couldn't sign up because it was full. I just think it's very funny that, like, it's not a good excuse, but finally the sport has gotten, those trials have gotten big enough, and I'm curious that if they keep capping, eventually do you go, well, we need another qualifier, we need, like, a seed qualifier, you need, like, hey, at what point is the sport, because they're looking to grow the sport, at what point do you need, hey, man, you got to do an open, you have to do it, if you want one of these other 256 slots, you know, the last 80 of them are reserved for guys that have points and open. It's
going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting because I think maybe not this year, but
if
we move in the direction that we're going, because I mean, remember East Coast Trials?
I
4
remember
years ago.
going to East Coast Trials in Jersey.
Yeah,
years and years and years and years ago. The one that Chris Weidman won,
2008.
And they didn't have that many people in plus 99.
Oh yeah,
And I was at plus 99 for the advanced division, but not the pro division. And I was like, maybe I should just tell him. And mind you, I'm a blue belt.
yeah.
And I'm like, if there's not that many people, I might actually have a chance. And like a lot of people in under 99 saw that and were like, okay. And then it like filled up a little bit.
But still, you weren't dealing with 40 people.
with 40, 50 people.
No.
You had small ass divisions at 99.
25. I mean, you can go in
Even then,
80,
like you had like a 16-man bracket in the pro division.
Yes.
For those things. Where
You
it was
can
like
go
nobody.
and look at like the years that Wagner wins trials and the years like you can go and look at like the full brackets and there's like guys in round of 32 that don't have matches.
Yeah.
Like now every single bracket be like that. It's very funny to watch the
Could you
sport
imagine
expand.
it looks like a legitimate NCAA like March Madness tournament where it starts with all those teams and just starts to whittle down.
Yep.
And then like the second day is the Sweet 16 essentially.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting there. I just think it's really interesting. And we are going to end up in a world in the next 10 years where trials is no longer fully open for US. For US. And worldwide, I think that they are, with registration numbers, 10 years behind the U.S. Just by the numbers, if you look at where they are, I am very curious how that's going to change and how ADCC is going to deal, how Mo is going to deal with that change and needing to expand. Like, okay, how do we cut it off? Because you can't have 400 people in a division over 2 days. Like, you can't do it. And also, you can't ask guys to fight for 3 days in a row at that level, because the body just a lot of times is going to struggle to do that. A 3-day at trials, it's interesting. So I'm just very curious how, you know, as the sport continues to grow, how they're going to do that.
I'm sorry, I'm looking up how many rounds you would have to win if you would have 256 people, and
I think it's 9.
Well, there's 7 rounds and 128 person like team tournament.
So 8 is 2. So it's 8 rounds.
8 rounds.
Yeah, 8 rounds. That's wild over 2 days at a pro level.
Yeah, it's and you're essentially like, if you have to go to the semis to do that, you have to win 6 of your 8 matches in the first day.
Uh-huh.
Crazy.
Yeah. So Very interesting, very excited. Again, things that we're going to see in the sport is going to change. We are still very much in the wild, wild west, but I think
I'd love to see what happens.
Yeah, I'd love to not be. So
I would love to see what
I'm
happens.
excited for it, Josh. It should be a lot of fun. As always in the show, I'm your host, Maine, with my co-host,
Josh.
And we have the Grappling Rewind. You see on the mat what it is. Stay safe. If you like the show, please consider sharing it on Facebook with the folks at your gym. It's the best way that we grow the show, and we really appreciate it. You can reach out to us on email.
We also have Instagram. We have Facebook. We have Twitter. We have Google+.
Until that shuts down.
We have a website.
If you have an event you would like to have us cover, please let us know. If you have a name, like most people do, and you'd like to have us stop butchering it,
let us know.
Reach out to us. The show is also available on YouTube, Spotify, in addition to iTunes and every other podcast service. We very much appreciate your time, and thank you.